Hello, everyone. Welcome back with our third episode of ISV. We have Boris Todtenhaupt today. Boris and I met uh, the South Lake Foundation, if I
I think,
recall. And from there, we just like hit it off. I see him at every networking events. He's so involved. He's also involved with the youth as well. So he advises for a lot of generation like me. So I would love to introduce you guys to Boris. Boris, if you can introduce yourself.
yeah, thank you, Eugene. You said most of it already. I'm from Germany originally. I'm a technology advisor and consultant. I've worked in many different fields in the past, from product management to sales.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always looked at the technology side of things with, how can technology make our lives better, and especially our business processes better. So I've lived in a few countries from starting from Germany, where I was born, and I lived in Spain, I lived in the UK, I lived in Switzerland, and in the US twice actually. So this is the second time I live here. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
That's crazy. So when did you get back here? When was the first time you decided to move all across the world?
It's always a story, right? So I lived in
Mhm.
Spain at the time, and
Mhm.
the weather was great, but I was a IT consultant back then as well, and my business wasn't that great because I lived in a touristy area in Malaga, which is in the south of Spain, and so I decided, where can I go where the weather's nice and IT is big, and so I moved to California and lived in Orange County for a while. And I was
Oh.
doing my own business there. I was more focused on network technology at the time.
Mhm.
I had a Cisco network expert. It was called a CCIE education, and I helped small businesses like the YMCA, healthcare facility, excuse me, childcare facilities in California with their networks and things like that. So I was more focused on network security and network administration at the time. And that was in 2002 to 2004, if I remember correctly. But
Mhm.
I wanted to get a degree in, because I didn't study in university. I did study at a university, but I decided to focus on my work at the time. That was in the 90s.
Mm.
So when I was in California, I realized I do want to have a degree because it makes my life easier running my own business, right? So I decided to go back to Europe, to Germany specifically, because in the US the degree was too expensive and I didn't want to take on any debt.
Mhm. Mhm.
In Germany the university degree is fairly affordable, and I was able to work at the same time. In the US, I didn't get a work visa with my degree. That was the
Mhm.
problem back then. And
Mm.
so yeah, that's a long story for your answer.
Wait,
How
that's
I-
amazing. I didn't know you were from OC. I'm from San Diego as well.
oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, I came from San Diego. I came to Dallas. That's crazy. So when did you move back to Dallas?
Actually moved to California again in 2018.
Uh-huh.
I worked in San Francisco for a little bit for my own business. First, I worked for a company called Swisscom, which is a big telco and IT, excuse me, services company in Switzerland, where I was living at the time. And I moved to, I basically stayed in San Francisco for a while, seeing how things go. Wanted to work with the Swisscom outpost. They were very focused on startups and innovation. That company, and I had their little outpost in California. But when that didn't work out, I looked into getting my own business started
Mhm.
in California, and that's when I met my wife. And as
Ooh.
things go, we decided moving together. I moved to LA. She lived in LA
Mhm.
at the time, and we stayed there for a while. We stayed until we got married, obviously, and we stayed there until 2021, and then we
Mhm.
moved to Texas, to
Oh,
Fort Worth.
okay.
I'm actually a little west of Fort Worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess that's the downside of living on the countryside. Sometimes the internet is not as good.
Wait, so you drive all the way from the countryside to the networking events?
Correct.
That's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna talk about that. Determination. That's grit, Boris. That's grit.
Yeah. Well, you got to
Yeah.
do what you got to do. But it's also that's the price, you know. I mean, and frankly, it's for example, when you live in LA, right? Many people
Yeah.
there commute long distance
Yeah.
because of the commute, because of the prices in the city. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm the only one doing this. There's people who have a longer commute, but it is definitely something you got to be prepared to if you want to live on the countryside. That you have to
Yeah.
drive more. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I find people's lives so interesting, right? Because you have the opportunity cost, which is the next best thing. But you chose to live on the countryside and you decided to commute instead of living in the city and
Hmm.
commuting to all the places because you still kept like what is close to your heart and what you want to do. And you're still doing it, but you chose to just live in a quieter, nicer area. Is that why you decided to live in the countryside? Was because of the serenity, or it's
It
just
was
like
more practical than that. We have
yeah.
animals. We have a horse and donkeys, right? So we
What?
kind of yeah.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have outside animals, right? They need some space, they need land, and honestly, Dallas is too expensive and too busy to have animals like that. At least for us, right? I'm sure there's
Yeah,
others,
yeah,
and we kind of picked this location for several things. Also, likelihood of tornadoes was one of the criteria, right?
yeah, yeah.
At least likelihood. So, but yeah, it's the animals mostly that
That is
made it.
crazy. I didn't know that, Boris. Oh my gosh, because guys, when I tell you like Boris dressed up as like a farmer for Halloween at Dan's party that we met last week,
Mhm.
this wasn't a Halloween costume. He's actually a farmer. I didn't know that.
I wouldn't
He's
go as
always
far as farmer, right? We don't have any. We have no cows or
oh
chickens, although we may get chickens at some point, just
oh
because of the eggs. But we don't have cows
precious.
or something like that. We don't have that much land.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Okay. Wow, this AI like consulting firm CEO founder is loves horses. He has
yeah,
horses. Guys, he's a
a nice balance
cowboy.
to all the technology.
That's crazy. Okay, so I want to dive deeper into your consulting firm. You are the CEO and founder. Did you found it after your education in Germany?
So it's a long story, right? That started 2004, if I remember the dates
Yeah.
correctly, and
Yeah.
I actually lived in Switzerland and studied in Germany because it's like a
Yeah.
30-minute train ride.
Yeah.
And I worked for UBS just to
Yeah.
make the money to be able to afford the degree and everything. And I lived in Switzerland for about 13 years before I came to the US.
Yeah.
So I think I just forgot what your question was.
I was just asking like when you started the Boris consulting firm.
Oh yes, yes. And the consulting, I've done this since I was, since the '90s, right? In the '90s, when
Mm,
I was living in Munich at the time, I was
mm,
helping businesses set up their computers, their networks, install their software, all that. So I helped businesses for a long time with technology, how to use
yeah.
technology, how to
Yeah.
use the software at the time. It was just a little less
Yeah.
complex. The market was a little easier to navigate
Hmm.
for businesses. And
Yeah.
so I've done this on and off for 30 years and
Wow.
not under the same label because I had different businesses and sometimes it
Yeah.
was just me. But I did this for a long time and I added to my skill sets over the years with different roles I took, like product management, for example.
Wow.
I did a UX design immersive in 2019, to always better
Mm,
understand how to make technology more useful, how to
yep.
use technology better, but also how to sell technology better and
Yep.
how to better understand what businesses actually need. So it was always a technology and business component and where they meet.
Mm, okay, so you have seen the 30 years change with all of that. And you have had like a
Mhm.
big hand in the change. You have had a big hand in helping people with the changes. So what kind of changes do you see now, and what is the difference aspect you're implementing, especially with AI? Um,
I think the difference I see compared to back then is there's so much more software available because building a
Mhm.
tool is easy these days, right?
Mhm.
Relatively easy, and there's
Mhm.
a lot. There's a lot more software out there, right? Let's forget about
Mhm.
AI for now. Let's just
Yeah.
focus on all the tools that are available right now. And every day there's a new useful tool that tries to be very helpful. And what comes with that is every tool that tries to be helpful always has a lot of changes all the time, which
Mhm.
makes it hard for
Mhm.
business to keep using it because they don't want to focus on the tool; they want to focus on their process. So
Mhm.
that's the other side of thing. That back then you had like an SAP that was terrible to use, right, as an example,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now you have all these alternative solutions, but some of these solutions keep changing how they work or how
Yeah.
they look, and that was always an issue
Mm.
with users, and it remains the same. And then now you have that AI technology that nobody fully grasps yet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that weaves into a lot of these tools. It's never really just about AI. It's always a component of a tool, of a
Yeah.
software. And many businesses don't fully understand how to use it, and what it means for them, and what the dangers are, that sort of thing. And that's
Wow.
what I do now, and that's
Wow.
why
Mhm.
I think that's what has changed because there's a lot more uncertainty, and it's a little bit of an overwhelm with all the
Yeah.
things that are coming on, and people have a lot more work too.
Mm.
That's just
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
observation. I don't know if it's true for everybody, but it seems that the workload has increased over the decades for sure.
Mm. Workload has increased. That's interesting because when people think about AI, it's to help assist a lot of these businesses, right? So they think that the work decreases, but in order to set it up, is that where like a lot of the work increases, like the foundational part of it?
Thing about me is I'm German, right? So I have a bit of a
Mhm.
critical view on things. That's just by upbringing, culture, whatever you want
Yes.
to call it.
Yes.
I think AI is currently not designed to help people with their workflow. It is trying
Mm.
to be helping businesses save costs, make more money,
Yes.
that sort of thing,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yes, in certain aspects, and
Mhm.
that would be the ideal world would be AI actually, helping people make their work lives easier and not being a competitor in their work field. And and it can do that, but you need to learn the tools first, right?
Yeah. Okay, I see. Interesting aspect. So let's talk about some of the success stories you have seen when you were helping these companies set up. So can you tell me an example? All confidential, but just like a brief example of a success and a failure story.
I think the success comes when people start understanding the tools better, right? Like I have
Mm,
somebody I coach, for example, and he recently told me that, wow, after I usually I have a coaching program. I help consultants with AI and that sort of technology. And when they first get started, they want to just build, right? And they want to
mm,
just use the tools. And I always try to find a balance between building something, but also finding processes that help them work, make that tool work for them later. And I have it's constructed in multiple modules, and the first module is more about foundational knowledge and really understanding how AI works.
mm,
And the other
mm,
day, my client told me that he was amazed how he now sees AI differently and how he now
mm,
understands, the caveats and the things where he used to always just take the output that AI delivers for granted, as an example. And now he is able
mm,
to implement it a little more critically, which helps him validate the output and helps him find actual use that he may have just posted something online, for example, for his marketing that would have embarrassed him now that he's aware where he has to be careful with. Like,
mm. Wait, amazing. Output criticisms are needed. The more you understand the foundation of it, the better you're able to decipher. Guys, this is really, really important. It has been said so many times that you can't just blindly trust AI, but how do you do it? This is the answer to
and yeah,
understand the foundations. Yeah,
yeah, it's always the same, right? I mean,
yeah.
as a product manager, you learn that too. Is you have to look at the challenge you're facing, whatever that
Mhm,
is, the problem,
mhm,
and then you have
mhm,
to think about how can we solve this problem and get to an outcome that we desire. And you have to understand all that first. So
yeah.
before you use a tool, because if you just plug in a tool, I've heard that from several businesses where they
Mhm.
implemented a tool, and that
Uh-huh.
tool, because they required a human in the loop process all of a
Mhm.
sudden,
Mhm.
right? Because AI output is not always 100%. That person all of a sudden got overloaded with AI requests that had to be verified by him, or AI output that had to be verified by him, and he couldn't focus on his main job, which was sales.
Mm.
And then you have a investment for software, but because the process required somebody to work full time almost on that human in the loop evaluation,
Mm.
they had to hire a new guy, and that would cost them. So, in the end, it looks all nice and shiny, but if you think through it and think about how the technology, the limitations and the benefits of the technology both, and
Mhm.
understand where you can best place it, that will help your return on investment instead
Mm.
of just
Yeah. A new shiny
I
thing.
am just putting it in, plugging it in,
Mhm.
hoping for the best. And that's the same when
Exactly.
you design a new product, or
Mhm.
if you build a new product, you have to think about where its use is, and then you have to start testing. Does this work? Sometimes you can't think through the process. You have to actually test it a little, and then always keep the big picture in mind. Right?
Hmm. What would be the big picture for the marketing guy? What was
Oh,
his big picture?
basically, what I mean by big picture is the business process. You always have to keep
Mm.
the big picture is what is our problem, where do we want to be, right? The outcome,
Mhm.
and how do we get there, right?
Mm.
And the big picture is all three together. If you just focus on the process, you're missing out. If you just focus on the problem, you may miss out. And if you just
Mhm.
focus on the outcome, you may get lost. And
Mm. Mhm.
so that's what I mean by big picture. It's always,
I
have the
see.
whole picture in mind
Yep.
when you
I love
build
that
it.
you say, "Oh, I'm from Germany. I think I have a more critical view of it, but we really do need that. I see a lot of like societal changes, especially the way that people view technology and the way that people view entrepreneurship. Like we really need to hone in on that, like criticism, because ultimately a business is created and run by humans, and that's not gonna go anywhere. So I really love this perspective. Um, Also, it sounds like you were ready for this change. You were ready and you were honing in on that skill for the last 30 years. And now I want to talk about the way that you are involved with Texas Advisory,
Mhm.
and how you are advising the youth. And I know that Texas Advisory is in a, can you describe Texas Advisory a little bit more and your role in the organization?
Sure. I mean, Texas Advisory is just it's a group of experts in their
Uh-huh.
fields that
Uh-huh.
are joined forces together. We run our own
Mhm.
consult and advisory consulting business,
Yeah.
including Stefan Böhmer and Robert Schiess. I don't have their
Mhm.
names here right now.
Mhm.
And Tim Marta
Uh-huh.
has joined us as well. So we have
Yes.
advisors of specific
Yes.
areas, and because everything is connected, right? For example, Stefan is on the finance side, and that
Mhm.
is connected to technology. I'm a technology advisor. I help businesses
Uh-huh.
with their technology setups, getting AI
Mhm.
ready, digital
Mhm.
transformation, and Robert is in operations,
Mhm.
and Tim in sales. And we're currently, we try to find a holistic way of supporting businesses with their challenges. Because
Mm.
for me, it's easy, my perspective, right? Because technology is everywhere these days, right?
Yep.
You need financial technology, you need operational technology and operations, you need technology everywhere in sales. So I can help with all of that, and with my partners, my
Mhm.
partner and my
Mhm.
fellow managing directors, we can
Yes.
work together on a holistic outcome for the business, not just a very
Yeah.
single-minded perspective. And
Yeah.
because you mentioned youth, that's more the Inspire You mentorship
Yeah.
company, I think.
Mhm.
I think we have a client of ours right now. We're talking about partnerships, but that's a different side of things. So Texas
Mhm.
Advisory is management and
Mhm.
technology and consulting. So basically,
Well,
a
okay. That is amazing.
holistic consulting business. Yeah.
I see, I see. My bad. Stefan is coming out. He's our next guest speaker, so I got a little bit confused. But it's so amazing because Boris really does hone in on everyone that he speaks to. I see him at these networking events. He's always around, but he's always talking to someone new, and very much their faces always like brighten, and they're like, "Whoa!" So I can just see him like honing in on like other people and the next generation and pouring into them as well. Um,
Absolutely, and I mean, that's why we have the Inspire You. I'm a mentor there too, and it's
mm,
it's it's all about
oh,
helping,
you are.
you know,
Mhm,
this new generation, but obviously just
mhm,
helping with our experiences. We've seen a
mhm,
few things, and
mm,
I think what's important is what, because you said the critical thinking, right? We were kind of raised to, and especially in university, students were always encouraged to be critical about things in society. That was always
mhm,
important, right? You
mhm,
need to grow as a civilization by questioning. You
mhm.
can't just accept and
Yes.
repeat what others. You can't go by opinions of others.
Mhm.
You have to question.
Yes,
I think that goes
exactly.
with, as we're seeing right now with AI. There's always with any new technology, there's always a bit of a hype phase. Cloud was the same, and other technologies, and then things, when the dust settles, then it gets more practical. I'm hoping 2026 is going to be that year,
Yeah.
and that goes with everything in society, right? There's always a
Mhm.
hype of something,
Yeah.
and that needs to, if you just get swept away by the hype, you might end up in a space where, in a dead end.
Oh, oof, yeah. That's so true. And then you have to start all over again. Is that Mm. In order to avoid that, and I think that would be like the failure, so to speak, because you don't fail until you stop. But that would be the failure if you just like are not practical in any sense, and you just believe in this like narrow-minded, and you don't want to criticize yourself to move forward. When you're looking at mentor you, like, do you have any advice since you're a mentor as well? Do you have any advice for younger generation who want to do what you do and who need to see AI as a critical foundation? And we're learning right now, but you have been
Mhm.
in this business and have seen it grow for 30 years. um Advice, like the things we should look out for, etc.
Helping a new generation, if I understand your question correctly, helping a new generation really tackle AI and make it
Mm-hmm.
beneficial. I think it
Or
always,
tech.
or tech in general, it's always,
Yeah.
you cannot see tech and business are together, right? You cannot
Mhm.
use tech without thinking business. If you love shiny toys and everything's great, right?
Yeah.
That's fun. That's a
Mhm.
toy though. That's like many people use AI as a toy these days. Oh, look at this
Mhm.
great video I created. And that's great. You can use it as
Mhm.
a toy, but that's a different thing. If you want to use technology in business, you have to think about the business and need to understand the business. It's all
Mhm.
about the business questions, all about the challenges or the outcomes you want to have, the
I see.
challenges you face or the outcomes you want to have. It's never about just the next new feature.
Mm,
That's it's nothing new, but to get there, you need to both understand the business, right? But also
mm,
understand the technology. So if you want to just look on one in one if you just want to look in one field, either be it business or technology, then it's
mm,
probably not ideal to become a consultant. Right? Or
mm,
then your path is probably more like a developer if you want to focus on technology, right? That's
mm.
all. For if you want to do something like consulting, like me, or anything that is related, even if you just want to start your own tech company, right? You still need
Yeah.
to understand the business side. It's very important. When I was long time ago, my father raised me to prioritize finance, right? Because it's
Oh.
very important to understand the financial side of a business, right? Even
Mhm,
if you're just focused on, getting on sales or something like that, you still need to understand the financial side, and that
mhm,
goes with
mhm,
where you have a bigger responsibility. You
mhm.
always have to understand multiple sides with multiple aspects.
Multiple sides on multiple aspects. Okay, so that would be your advice to understand multiple aspects, which is amazing.
My advice is to follow what you really enjoy doing, right? That's the most
Mm,
important, because if you have a lot of work, it only works if you enjoy doing it.
mm,
And if you enjoy understanding both sides of the field or everything, right? If you enjoy understanding the big picture and then deep diving into the small nitty gritty stuff, then that consulting career may be for you. Yeah?
amazing. Wait, that is so amazing. I think this will be the perfect time to talk about what you do day to day since, you love what you do. So, when does your day start? What do you do? And when do you hang out with your horses?
Well, my day starts with the horses, right? They need to be fed, and animals have a
Mhm,
very rigid schedule. They don't enjoy shifting from their schedules when they want to get their food at the time they used to, unless you free
mm,
feed. That's a different side of things. So my day starts with waking up to feed the horses, which is a shared responsibility. My wife does it most of the time. To be honest, I usually make the coffee in the morning, but that's around 6:37 ish.
mm, mhm,
Then it's not that different from anything else. The only difference I have is that I don't come to my office to 100 emails or 1,000
mm,
emails, depending
mhm,
on the jobs, right? I usually think about, I have a plan what I want to do, or think about the plan of the week, and then I get started on tasks that it's a lot
yeah,
about scheduling if you have a lot going on.
yeah,
Uh, and I think my day, there's no typical day because I have so many different things I'm doing. Right? I'm doing
mm,
marketing. I'm doing. I'm working on projects. I'm doing proposals. So there's a lot, and then I have calls. Right, meet new people, and then I go
mm,
to plan to go to events, or have driving and all that. So it's.
mhm,
I would say I don't have a typical day because it's so many different things. And the only
mm.
typical thing I try to do is try to plan my week ahead.
Oh, perfect. That is so amazing. So, when you're doing all these different things, how would you measure your success? How do you know if you're not grounded? How do you know if you need to pivot?
Well, the easiest way to measure success is, accepted proposals, right, from clients. Somebody agrees to work with me, that's the success. But obviously, it's not that. It's not that, because that would get frustrating, because a lot of work is not paid as a consultant.
Mm,
Right? You
mm,
have to, and a lot of it is also successful conversations, meeting new people,
mm.
brainstorming things, coming up with new ways of
Yeah.
approaching a business, but also helping a business. So there's a lot of different things that make success, right? And a lot of
Mm,
is has to do with people, and that's
mhm,
another thing, right? That's why I like to go to events, is meeting people,
mm,
and that's what I believe right now more than ever with current technologies and uncertainty and all that. It's important that people work together and remember
mm.
that it's all about people working with people, and not. And technology is a help, is an aid in that. It's not, this whole thing about technology replacing people it's not realistic. You can only do that so much until you get to a point where people don't have the money to spend on the products, and then
Yeah.
any business will go down if they don't have any,
Mm.
realistic. I mean, client.
Realistic
If there's
yeah.
no, if there's no, if
Yeah.
the economy goes down, then there's no use for AI. So I think in the end, it's still people working with people and using technology to make it easier.
Mm.
But it's all about personal relationships.
Okay, I see. I love that you said that. Success really does come from the people that you surround with, and it sounds like, with Texas Advisory too, you surround yourself with amazing people. Your
Yeah.
wife, obviously, and your horses. It's great company. Well, I'm so glad I got to have this interview with you today and this conversation. I will talk to you after I end this, but any last words you want to say to our viewers?
Well, just what I said before. I believe if you can find what you love, then it's always worth the effort.
Woohoo! Okay, I love that. I love that. Okay. Bye guys. Bye. Say bye.
All
Say bye.
right. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Sorry.